Good afternoon, everyone. This is Spirit Journey. I'm going to discuss a program that I watched early this morning, around 3 o'clock in the morning. I was very excited watching it. I just felt led to listen to them. I was watching this channel. It's called the Farsight Institute. The Farsight Institute is an organization that teaches people how to do what they call remote viewing. And remote viewing has to do with you are using your mind. It's like an extreme focus, a target, and you have the person, the remote viewer, who's given these coordinates and what the item is, whether it's a photograph or something written down with information on it. And then when they remote view, they seek out that item, coordinate, and they gather information on it. Well, this time the Farsight Institute did a remote viewing on a particular scripture verse in the Bible, the book of Revelation, where it discusses about the war in heaven. Now, they had used two remote viewers. Neither of them know what the other is to look up, to remote view. They're not in the same room. They're totally disconnected. And then there was a third person in another country, in Asia. The first two, the two ladies, they did this remote viewing in the United States, while the third party did the remote viewing session in Asia. And there were a lot of similarities. And listening to them, well, they didn't go in extreme detail. I mean, they did the remote viewing, and then the particular video I watched was like a kind of like overview, like just a sample of what was remote viewed, and had the ladies, sit next to each other, and the director of the institute had presented to them the papers. Because see, the remote viewers don't know what the target was. They're never told. So it's just at the cuff, they do the remote viewing, they see or hear or experience what they experience, and then, they let the director know. And also it's filmed as their remote viewing. So when the director had given them the information, after the fact, they were stunned and everything. And I was stunned. And I think it's the 14th, they're going to air that remote viewing session, the actual session where they did the remote viewing. And so we know in detail what they saw. So I can't wait to see that. But why I'm mentioning that remote view session, I was thinking about what it would be like for me to remote view. And as my channel name goes, Spirit Journey, that yes, I'm on my spirit journey. I am examining, exploring things that I would never have considered because I was a Christian. I read my Bible. I read it through, from front to back about 6 or 7 times. I did what was expected of me, and I believed what I was told. But as you all know, those who have been following my channel, that in 2013, I stopped going to church. I felt uncomfortable, something that I was wrestling with, and not really sure what was really the problem. I think in short, I just wasn't finding God in church. And I knew I wanted to seek outside of traditional religion. So here, my being a Christian and a devout one, and one that kind of like believed everything and just kind of like followed along, and to have my paradigm challenged. And so I was just racing with the idea, wow, they did a remote viewing session on a particular scripture verse in the book of Revelation about the war in heaven. Where did this war happen? So again, with the Bible, see, I always took the Bible as something mystical, something that, God was some force or like an energy or a blob. And I didn't know what to make of it. But it's a mystical God, and it's something that is really beyond your reach because you're not good enough. You never be good enough, And it's a lot of guilt and fear regarding Christianity, that the type of Christianity that I was raised in. And so I wanted to say, hey, this, I could maybe learn how to do this remote viewing, or like I know in remote viewing, what little I did investigate regarding that subject of remote viewing within the Farsight Institute, that they do a meditation session before they actually do the remote view. It's a whole procedure, and they go about it in a very systematic way. So here I was excited about watching this program, and that they're going to have the actual session, this coming weekend, and I can't wait. So I said, I'm just fed up about the lies. I felt that my whole life I lived in a lie. I was deceived, I feel, and I just had this motivation, and I just couldn't sleep. And there were other things that were on my chest, really based on the videos that I was watching about the space programs, or the alleged space programs, and going to the different planets and stuff like that. So I want to challenge this. So since I couldn't sleep, I around 5 o'clock or so, I went to do a meditation. But this was what was a little different about this session. Now again, I used to meditate more often, and I go through a particular system at how I do it. But this time I said, like this remote viewing, what was characteristic about remote viewing, they're very specific. They have a target. While my general meditation sessions that I do, whatever what comes. I'm not really focused on anything. So I said, this meditation session, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to have a point of interest, an aim, a topic that I want to explore. So I said to myself, I want to find out more about this moon. I'm sorry, the moon, and about the what's on the moon. Yeah, because other videos I saw besides the remote viewing was about colonization of the moon and Mars and things like that. So my curiosity was there, real strong. So I said, I really want to know what type of world I'm living in and what's going on in this world. And hey, did we really go to the moon? And is it true there's a colony actually on the moon? So I said, when I'm going to do a meditation, and I'm going to put my intention on the moon. Well, so I went through my process, and I set my timer for 1 hour and 10 minutes. And so by the end of close to the end of the session, maybe the last 5 minutes, I Now I did see some like lights, like as I said many times, that it's my meditation. When I see something, it always starts off with a light in the center, and so then it starts to grow, get bigger, and then that light turns into something physical and something that you can see. And so, as usual, that's what happened in this one. But it's like what I saw. So, like when my eyes are closed and everything, and I I saw like someone. I mean, it's kind of like dark. My eyes are closed, and I kind of see something dark, and then that light, that thing that I usually see, that develops into object, and then I see like an object, but then something is like lighting on it, like if this room was totally dark and you had a flashlight and you aim it at something. That's how I saw it as like you're upon an object and you have a flashlight. That's what it reminded me of. But I'm just looking with my spiritual eyes, whatever how you want to call it. My eyes are closed, but I'm imagining, I'm looking through, in my mind's eye. And I thought I saw something like it looked like something's head was down like that. So you see like it kind of looked like that to me, at least, and like something on the back of the head like that. It's kind of like a weird shape. I wish I could remember more details about it, but it kind of reminded me of a like I used to live in Maui, and in Maui there was this toad that had dug into this soil, this pot that I had that I was trying to grow something, and it wanted to stay cool, so it snuggled it deep inside the dirt. And when I one day I looked at it, and I saw something weird, like the texture. It was like, I think the back of the toad or something. Looked weird, almost looked like a face. Well, it was a face of but it's that these ridges and stuff like that. And I almost touched the thing. Thank God I didn't touch it, because I think like the next day after that, I see the toad. That's right. It was humongous, and I screamed. I'm so off. I'm not really good with things like that. It was the first time I saw a real toad, and I had a friend that lived there with me, and she's into nature and all that. She knows about wildlife, and she just moved it to another a safe location. But that thing, that the grooves, whatever, it reminded me of that. But I think it was the back of the head, so it didn't have like hair, but it was something. And when I looked at it, again, it's just like a small, like a tunnel vision, dark. Everywhere outside of this tunnel is dark, and everything in the center had like a light on it. And I said to myself, uh-oh, I hope this thing does not stand up, because I don't want to see anything scare me, And then I think, it faded away, I think. And then shortly after, I saw something else. And what I saw was what looked like the moon. Again, it's all dark, or like as if a tunnel vision. Everywhere around the outside of the tunnel is dark, but you see an illuminated center of a what looked like a moon. And I was like going like I said, is my eyes closed? Am I really? Because I'm seeing something. And I saw craters and everything. It was wild. All these small little craters all over. It had like a grayish color. It was darkish. I mean, yeah, it almost like a grayish color. When you use a black and white camera, that type of color. And I said, oh my, these are craters. And then it went away. Now, I thought that was amazing. And then shortly after that, my timer goes off and I stop the session. But I'm excited about it because it's the first time I saw something like that, and that I'm seeing how powerful our minds are, and that it's really something when you have an intent behind what you do, rather before I just kind of, hit and miss, whatever what comes up, comes up. But I thought it was really something. And I'm just seeing more and more how this world, it's so much more to it. And yeah, you want to get that? My little dog is with me. More and more you see that this world is bigger than expected. And some of the things I would never consider. And here I allowed myself to try something new, within reason. And to see something like this. Could you imagine that if everyone learned how to do this? And so I think why I'm also doing this video, when I first got the idea of doing this video early in the morning, I said, you can do it too. I'm tired of, I'm sorry, just have to put my little doggy down. I'm tired of just getting secondhand information. Because I don't know who or what to believe anymore. And so, if you guys want to know a truth more firsthand, why don't you try meditation? I'm no one special than anyone else. I just closed my eyes. I made an intention. I said, I'd like to find out more about the moon. I'd like to see the moon. I might have said it like that. And, protection if anything is evil out there. A prayer of intent and for protection. And I just closed my eyes and just relax. And that's all that I did. So I'm suggesting that, hey, if you guys also, like myself, are seeking and want to know firsthand information, I invite you to do the same. You might want to look at, research other subject matter, but it's in your own hands. And to take control over your life, rather people telling you what to believe, because I believed all this stuff. And finding out a lot of the stuff is just staged. And then after I did the meditation session, I was watching more videos about the moon and the Apollo 11, and how that there are a lot of anomalies / questionable things about the Apollo 11, and that at least what they showed for the population at large who were watching on their television sets was something that was staged in a professional studio rather than something that was real. And so I was angered about that realization that's what could have happened. But at the same token, I'm thinking okay, now why would they fudge something like that? And I'm thinking, well, the things I'm hearing about with the traveling to the moon or Mars, that the Germans, the Nazis, during World War II, had a secret space program, that Hitler didn't die in the bunker, he was smuggled out, and there is a German community in South America, and they have some type of colony, allegedly have a colony in the North Pole, and I think even the South Pole also. So let's just say if that is true, and that they continue with this space program, And again, the U.S. government did bring in the Nazi well, the Nazi researchers / scientists who were involved in the space program, and the U.S. took it, for themselves. So it's not far-fetched that if you're going to take these men, why exclude Hitler and other officers, They have a whole community there in South America of Germans. And so I also was following the secret space program with people who claimed that they were a part of it. They were victimized by this secret space program. And I was watching those programs very, very deeply. And it's going against the belief system that I was raised under. But I'm thinking more and more that this could possibly really be true. And so if they have a program and they had the spacecrafts and the technology to do it back then in the 1940s, then why did NASA then allegedly having the Apollo 11 reaching the moon, but all sequential Apollos never reached the moon? And then you had the crash that happened in 1987, I think it was, when it went up in space, and how was it able to overcome Apollo 11, all the obstacles, and here years later newer spacecraft can't even make it. So I feel that we're being played. But I think in part that why the Apollo 11 and the other Apollos didn't make it was maybe they felt once they got up there, they saw it was already colonized, and maybe the Germans threatened them. They look like there's many buildings up there, and so I think that it had to make some excuse and somehow convince the public, we just did that, we're not going to do any more. Maybe they did an agreement, maybe they were threatened, but they don't want people to know that the Nazis are up there with their colony. And I was told that there is a slave system up there, that people are being kidnapped all over this planet and are being sent over to Mars and the moon as working slaves. So if it would get out, something like that, they would really close down this whole program. So don't discuss it and try to hide it from the general population. And so I tend to think that that's what's happening. They're all hiding and just covering for each other. But something like that you can't cover for long. And you notice now they're having the disclosure slowly, different disclosures. So I think they're really just priming the general population to accept the idea that there are colonies up there in space, and there are a lot of technologies that we don't even know about. So I feel it's going to be just introduced stage by stage. And I know years ago, if I would have heard something, well, like I did see like the movie E.T. and movies like that. I just took it for entertainment purposes, not that it was something genuine. But I'm seeing more and more that maybe all this stuff is real, but how they wanted you to think about what reality is what was distorted. And so I need to really chip away at those illusions. And it's those illusions that keep us in bondage. It's these illusions that make people pit against each other and hate each other. And that's all I see. And I think it's all by design, because if you're so busy looking about at this person, and someone's doing that to you, and it's to distract you. So the real focus up in the other planets, it's the real issue, but they don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to get the riches that are out there. So I think this is food for thought. And yes, 2018 for me is to be the year of celebration, the year of breaking those bondages, those false belief systems that hold us back from obtaining knowledge, wisdom, wealth. It keeps people fearful. And that's all what I think the Bible is really all about, to keep us in fear. It does teach some positive things, but I think the design of it is really to hold people captive and not have really, what's called that deep thinking, analytical thinking and reasoning. So I know I've said a mouthful, and I'm excited about seeing a little more every day with regard to my meditation. And again, I invite you all to do the same, so you will be in the know, so you won't be deceived. It's a layer upon a layer, and may you find the layer that you're really seeking for. Okay? So feel free to comment below, to share this video with friends and family members that you think would genuinely enjoy this topic. And you can subscribe, and once again, to give me the thumbs up. So take care and enjoy 2018 as the day of removing all illusions. Okay? So take care. Bye-bye.